Hello folks, this is Mike, PC31 the Vinyl Policeman, and this is a video for the tag which Beth and Brandon started regarding soundtracks. So Beth, Miss 80s movie and music, and Brandon obviously Mr. Hall of Fame. This is the Movie Soundtrack Tag Redux 2022, and I've just watched Gary Physical Format Rock and Roll's post on it, and Gary showed some fantastic soundtracks. So I haven't got anywhere near as many as him, but I thought I'd put something up. So Brandon and Beth posed 20 questions and a little extra one as well. First one was, how many do you own? How many soundtracks do you own? I had a count up and I knew I didn't have very many, but I've got 17. I probably missed a few, but I do believe I've got 17. First soundtrack ever bought. Like Gary, actually, I haven't got the first one I ever bought, but my first one was Big War Movie Themes, 1971. So it had Battle of Britain, 633 Squadron, Dam Busters, Lawrence of Arabia. Really great soundtrack, actually, but that disappeared many, many years ago. Most recent soundtrack purchase for your collection? Well, my one, I think, would be the wonderful Warren Ellis, This Train I Ride. And this is from 2019, and this particular film, hope you can see that okay, this particular film or documentary is about three women who jump freight trains across the US, and it's a really risky kind of journey because they're hiding in bushes, jumping on the trains and hiding under bridges, etc. And Warren Ellis actually recorded all the music for this, actually on most of it on train rides. So I really enjoy it. I think it's a great soundtrack, ambient sort of soundtrack. You know, you just put it on and you can kind of chill to it. But I really like it, and that's the last one I bought. Warren Ellis, fantastic. So the next one is, what soundtrack have you listened to the most? Well, certainly in recent years, this is a soundtrack which I've got completely hooked on white vinyl. And it's Warren Ellis again, actually, but it's Nick Cave and Warren Ellis, and that's West of Memphis. That's from 2012, and this is a documentary about the three little boys who got murdered, and the guys who were arrested, and the trial, and eventually they were let free. I think about 18 years later. I believe it was a miscarriage of justice, and that's the documentary about them. I haven't actually seen the film, but the soundtrack is absolutely superb. It's really compelling, and I have played that on countless occasions. Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. Best opening song to a soundtrack. I couldn't beat this one. This is the 1967 EP Magical Mystery Tour. This is the mono version, an original press. So it was released in 8th of December 67 in the UK. First track, Magical Mystery Tour. So that's what it actually kind of opens with. So that's why I've got it in this category. Released in the US as an album in end of November. And this appeared on UK television, the film, on Boxing Day 1967. But that's the 6-track EP, Magical Mystery Tour, the first track. I can't answer all these questions, I'm afraid, Beth and Brandon, because I quite simply just haven't got enough soundtracks. But strangely enough, just looking at Gary's post on this one, his tag, I do love all the Bond tunes, and I love those soundtracks, and I haven't got any at all. So that's something I must rectify. I must get some Bond into my life, Bond soundtracks. The next one, a movie that has a lackluster soundtrack. 1968, I've only got it on CD, I'm afraid, but The Family Way, where the soundtrack was written by Paul McCartney, but it's for the completist, the Paul McCartney completist, really, because it's not a great soundtrack. There's no songs as such. It's all incidental music to the film, but you know, it's inoffensive. You put it on, but it's not very memorable. So, lackluster soundtrack. A soundtrack way better than the movie. I've got a couple I want to show here, actually. The first one is from 1988, film starring Keanu Reeves, Permanent Record. And the soundtrack on this one is really terrific, actually. I mean, you've got Joe Strummer. I mean, basically, it's called a Joe Strummer soundtrack, although there's other artists on it. Joe Strummer and the Latino Rockabilly War, Trash City, Baby the Trans, Nefertiti Rock, Nothing About Nothing. Then you've also got Lou Reed on it. You've got the Stranglers, All Day and All the Night, the Kinks classic, the Godfathers, Bodines. This is an enjoyable soundtrack, actually. Not too sure the film's that good though. The other one I wanted to show in the same category actually was one I did recently from 1971, Percy, which I did a Kinks ranking video just last week, and this one I really enjoy. I mean, the film's pretty poor from also from 1971. The actual film was released, but the film's actually pretty poor. But the soundtrack, side one of this, I think is terrific. God's Children, fantastic song. Some instrumentals, instrumental of Lola, really good. There's some good things. Side two's pretty poor, but it's worth it for side one. So, where the soundtrack is better than the film. Next one I've gone for is artwork on the jacket or coloured vinyl, and I've gone for, again, another Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. This is a 2009 film, The Road. This is post-apocalyptic, where a father and son are trying to get out of town and get to somewhere else, The Road, and I think that's a terrific cover. I hope you can see it okay. The actual vinyl is also pretty good, because it is this kind of, I'm not sure what you call that. What did they call it? Coloured. Very hard. It's kind of a granity, transparent sort of vinyl, but it's pretty good, and it's a good soundtrack. Again, quite ambient. Not as good as West of Memphis, which I think is really exceptional. But that's 2009, The Road. You know what's coming. The next question I can answer is a soundtrack that includes your favourite band or artist. Yeah, you guessed it. This is an original mono one, actually. This is one of my pride and joys from 1968, Yellow Submarine, the mono one. And this is side 2 I'm playing, which gets absolutely no love whatsoever. And it's funny, when you see the second-hand copies of this, as you all have, side 1 is always well worn with all the classics on, Yellow Submarine, Only a Northern Song, All Together Now, Hey Bulldogs, All Too Much, All You Need Is Love. And the second time, which is the George Martin original soundtrack, which I'm playing now, is always pristine. And this one's pretty much the same, but I actually got a soft spot for side 2, so I do occasionally play it, as I am now. A soundtrack where an actor from the movie actually performs on a track, and my one there is All About Eve, where the soundtrack is written by PJ Harvey, who comes from just along I'm on the south coast of England, and she comes from Bridport, just along the coast. And one of the tracks on the album, which is primarily instrumental, Gillian Anderson, who's in the film, she actually sings it. So that's why I include that one, All About Eve. A soundtrack where a band artist actually perform. Could have chosen a couple there. But Song Remains the Same. Could have pulled that one out, but I'm going to go for that one again. Wonderful stuff. The last movie you watched that you also have a soundtrack from. And as I say, I haven't got a huge amount to choose from, but another Nick Cave, Warren Ellis. I have got a lot more of their soundtracks actually, which I've not shown in this particular video. But this is a film I actually did watch a short while ago, and it's quite a harrowing film from 2017. It's murder drama, not true story, but there are lots of similar stories. It's from based on the Wyoming reservation, and involves an FBI agent who goes after a murderer. but it's quite an eerie soundtrack. I enjoy it. The film was quite harrowing, but again, another great atmospheric Nick Cave, Warren Ellis soundtrack. Always enjoy those. The last one I'm able to show is a soundtrack that always lifts your mood, and I'm going for one. I've only got a CD, but it's from 1987. Quite a weird western about William Walker, and it's again Joe Strummer. Joe Strummer wrote the soundtrack for this one, and he actually appears in the film as well as one of William Walker's men, part of his private army. It's all about, it's the story of William Walker, who basically took over Nicaragua, 1850s, I think it was. And Strummer not only wrote the soundtrack, but he's also in the film, as I say. There's quite an interesting bit inside where it says, a quote from Joe Strummer, "It's all acoustic. I thought, let's be 1850, nothing plugged in." And it's, yeah, it's good. It's an enjoyable one. Okay, and the very final thing which Beth and Brandon have asked for is some shout outs to other people who I don't think have actually done this particular tag yet, but it'd be really interesting to see the response. JT's Record Room. JT's always interesting, so his posts are always really interesting, so it'd be good to see what JT's got there. Ben Rankins from Melbourne, that'd be good to see his one. And Mike, T-Cat's Deep Vinyl Tracks, TRAXX. Be good to see Mike's, because I think he's got quite a few soundtracks. So anyway, Beth and Brandon, that's my contribution to the tag. A little bit sparse, nowhere near as many as Beth's got. I think she's got over 200, but I've just got a measly 17, but I'm going to go and get some bonds. So thank you.